Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I have a few here. I was just telling my wife that I think things have evened out as far as what I'm picking up each week, and I got the preview for what's coming out next week, and it's very small, so maybe I'll do something a little bit different then, but that is next week's problem. Let's talk about some comics. And up first we have Once and Future issue 26. This is one of my favorite series. I mention that every time. The art is phenomenal. I'm a big fan of Dan Moore. The writing is also great. Kieran Gillen, I find, is sometimes hit or miss with me, but this I very much enjoy. I do feel like the series is ending soon, based on reading the solicitations, which are up through at least 30, and just the story itself is escalating to a point where it seems unsustainable long term. Like a conclusion is needed at some point soon, so I don't really want it to end, but I will take it when it comes. And the series is good. This actually, very surprisingly, skips an entire year. They did some time jumping in the previous issue, and I think the reference here is that it was January 1st at the start of this, because this guy's talking about New Year. I skip here to December again. So that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that, and then the sort of time-lapse events about what has happened within that year, and it's good, and I don't know what else to say. But there are... I don't know. I feel like I've been saying the same thing about this in every video, but there's a bunch of King Arthurs and other legends running around current England, and this guy and his grandmother are trying to stop them, put things back. She has a plan. She explains that plan here. I think there are elements that she's probably not telling, because that's just her character. I guess we'll see. And I guess we'll see ultimately if this ends. I think it'll be a few weeks before the next issue of previews comes out for product shipping in September, but I guess we'll see. Maybe there will be another clue there. Firepower 21. So I have previously mentioned that there is a dragon in, I believe they mention it here, I think it's Hong Kong? There are some news reports. Here we go. So there is the dragon, and I won't show you the next page because one, I'd prefer you to read the series, but the next page is gorgeous. It is fantastic art by Samney. I mentioned a few times how I don't know how he is drawing two comics at the same time, and his other comic, Jonah and the Unpossible Monsters, is ending soon, which kind of sucks because the series is great, but it does make sense. And in the back matter here, he also talks about how much lead time they used to have versus how much they currently have, and it being much less. These things are very interesting if you read through it. It is a conversation between Kirkman and Samney. It's in the back of each issue, not included in the trades, but it is insightful into their working process and personal opinions on a variety of things, because they sometimes go very off topic. But this series is good. I should say, specifically related to this issue, is at the start of the series, so the actual series launched with a trade, so it's probably 6 issues worth of content, and Owen, one of our leads, the guy with the titular firepower, talked about training he has done before the start of the series with certain masters. Those masters are met here, 2 of them at least, and one is hilarious. I think she's going to be a great addition to the cast. The other one is sort of a last page reveal that I think is going to lead into a fight next issue. Should be interesting to see how that develops. And in that back matter that I was showing off, they talk more about other masters that were mentioned in that trade and them showing up as well. So I think this might be an arc of gathering masters The intent is to fight the dragon. I don't know how that's supposed to happen yet, but they are gathering masters, and we will see. The series continues to be great. It's well written, art's fantastic, and I recommend it. Shadow War Omega. This is the end of the Shadow War storyline. I don't know why people are sort of splattered with blood here, and it makes her look like a vampire. She's very pale, and then her mouth is bloody. I don't know what's up with that. But, so this is the end of the Shadow War, and thankfully, I don't know how much more I could have taken. I'm going to spoil some things, so if you don't want to know how the story ends, just skip to the next chapter. But I thought I knew who the ultimate villain of the series was, and I was wrong. It is Geoforce, surprisingly, who also recently has come up again in Young Justice, if you're watching that on HBO Max, or I don't know if it's televised anywhere other than streaming, but we get a big standoff between Geoforce and the rest of the living team because Deathstroke died last issue. Deathstroke was killed by Talia. So we've got everybody fighting Geoforce. He's very angry about things that happened during Leviathan, which I did not read, but it does not. We get this page, which I think is fantastic. Geoforce operating on a level that I did not know he was capable of. But I didn't read Event Leviathan. I was ignoring Bendis at the time. And I guess some bad things happened to Markovia, but he is angry about that. He's angry about Deathstroke and decades ago things that happened with Teen Titans, and he takes his revenge by pitting the two of them against each other. That is the main thrust of the series, is Deathstroke's group versus Talia's group until they face off and she ultimately kills him. And but we're talking about the Al Ghuls, and so the series, I'm going to skip ahead. The rest of his team dump him into a Lazarus pit. There he is. I don't know why his face looks like it's cracked. But they dump him into a Lazarus pit. Something weird happens, and there's even a comment about why didn't his eye heal? So, something strange happened in the Lazarus Pit. It will probably be developed in Dark Crisis. Which I'm going to try to sit out. I don't care. We also get to this. As far as their relationship goes, I do believe that they are getting their own series again, a series together. I guess we'll see what happens there. Depends on who writes it. I guess it depends on the creative team in general, whether or not I'm going to read that. There is a great sequence. So near the end here, we've got Robin kicking Geoforce in the face, and he tries to talk it out. Talia puts a sword to his neck. Robin still tries to talk it out, and ultimately it winds up with him getting kicked to the face again. And because of this crack, I thought she broke his neck. Turns out he's not dead. But yeah, for a minute there, I was pretty concerned. I'm like, did she just kill him? And turns out no. So this is... it's kind of set up for everything that's coming next instead of... I mean, it is a story in its own right. It does have a beginning, middle, and end, but it also just rolls right into everything that's coming next. And I guess that's what I should expect from Big Two event titles. And even previous Williamson events have done the same thing. So it's ultimately fine, is what I was talking about last issue. My intention was to then read King Conan issue 5, and I got to the first page, saw the amount of words on it, and said, nope, I'm going to read Step by Bloody Step instead, which is a series that has practically no words. This doesn't really need it, in my opinion. The story is told amazingly well through the art. There is one sequence. I do want to reread part of this. I'm going to do this at the same time. Where did it go? I just had this. There's a collection coming out. Is there a date? I don't see a date. This is for product shipping in August, so there's a collection coming out, and I do recommend this. I hope, as I said before, it doesn't say anything about it being oversized, so I think it will be standard size, but I think the series deserves an oversized hardcover collection, and I'm not going to say hold out for it just in case that never happens, but I do. Someone has to have the brains to do that. Anyway, series is great. The conclusion, I was mildly confused, and I reread the sequence. I think I know what happens, but I think I also want to reread issues 3 and 4 together, just so that I can make sure what I think is happening is what's really happening. But here again is the art. It's a great story, highly recommended, and I think that's all I'm going to say about this. I hope you read it. I then read Little Monsters. So this is issue 4, and when I was talking about issues 1 and 2, I was thinking maybe wait for the trade, because I thought reading a trade's worth of content would be enough story that single issues weren't giving, is what I'm trying to say. And issue 3 changed my mind, issue 4 even more so. A lot happens here, and this ends with a moment that I'm glad I was alone in the house, because I did yell out, "Oh shit!" This is an excellent series. Lemire and the Win are a powerhouse team. You see, so this seems innocuous, but it is toned with splashes of red. More red in this than previous issues, if you read something into that. But they are vampire kids. We get an origin story for the twins in this issue, as well as progression on the story that's happening in the present. It is great and recommended. So I went from yelling out "oh shit" for one page in Little Monsters to this entire issue being an oh shit moment. So much happens. I don't think I can. I think there's one page I can show you. Hold on. Yeah, I think I could show off this as an example of the art without spoiling anything, but he does take this glass and do terrible things to one of our lead characters. The solicitations for this series say that it is ending at issue 11. This is currently issue 8. I will say, despite all of the terrible things that happen in this issue, the cover, so the series always, the issue always ends with a preview of at least the cover for the next issue, and that is seen here. So at least our lead character is still alive, and he is walking, which is something I wasn't sure he'd be able to do, given what happens to him in here. We do have some Drano on the counter there, table, along with some cereal. Read into everything that you are imagining, and it is probably what happens. It is terrible. The series is also great, but this was a wild ride. It was a tough read, I'll say that much. After that, I came back to King Conan. I was ready at that time, and this is basically a life and times of Gothamon. So we get, here he is. He's the one strung up there. But you see him from a very early age up until just before the start of this series. He's actually on the island before Conan crashes into it in the first issue of the series, and we see what led him there, as well as what led him to be the man that he is today. It is good. I think I think this is ending in issue 6. It does say to be continued instead of concluded. Sometimes I read into that, sometimes I don't. But here is the last page. They are lighting people on fire. Good times. And it looks fantastic along the way. One of my custom projects is to do a Conan, and I got to some of these pictures and I'm like, oh man, how could I do that? Who has pants like that? I enjoy it. If you are at all interested in Conan, I do recommend picking up Aaron's an 12-issue run, and Conan, King Conan, should be, I believe, a 6-issue series. I think it's ending next issue. I would like to confirm that, though. But this is great. Lastly, for this week, there is a new collection of Deadly Class out. Deadly Class is one of my favorite series. Certainly one that is currently running, but all time as well. The series is phenomenal. The series is also ending soon. Should be with the next collection that I imagine will be up at the end of the year. In the previous collection, so the series started out set in the 80s. Something happens at the school where our cast was at, and our cast disperses. We start to speed up time to see what happens to them. In this volume, we get up to, I think, 2006 or 2008. Each issue starts with the year it takes place in. So here is 2006, and you get some headlines in the background to remind yourself what was happening at the time. That series, yes. So it ends in 2006. We do check in with each of these characters. So Marcus has been our main character throughout the run. Saya and Maria are two of his love interests, friends / love interests. We do check in with both of them within this century, so we see where they are, and this is essentially what happens. The series has always been phenomenal. It continues to be so here. I don't really want it to end, but I will take it when it comes because the series has been amazing so far, both the writing and the art. I will read whatever these guys work on next. Let's see if I can find something to show off. There's a pretty brilliant multi-page sequence that is just the two of these two discussing in a diner about plans and life. It's really well done. I mean, the writing on this book has always been phenomenal. Things ultimately lead to this, which is interesting. The series is great. Highly recommend Deadly Class for anyone that isn't reading it. That is everything I got for the week. I think, as far as pick of the week goes, Little Monsters was very good, but I'm giving it 2 Step by Bloody Step. It is so well done. The art is gorgeous. The story concludes in a way that I was really concerned after the previous issue. Issue 3 was not. I sometimes talk about emotional gut punches, and that was just tear your heart out. It was terrible and beautiful at the same time. And this starts that way and ends very well. So once again, get the collection when that comes out in a few months. If your comic shop has these singles now, you can get them, which I do recommend. And as always, I get all of my comics from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.